Merry Christmas everyone. I hope you had a great day yesterday and ate everything you could eat and drank everything you could drink. I'm here today to provide some light entertainment to accompany your festivities. Now, Matt Powell is a creationist who loves to beat the 6,000-year-old Earth drum. And he continues to do so whilst never supplying any evidence for this whatsoever. But something caught my eye this week where he released a video explaining why he believes in Noah's Ark. And his pinned comment was even more interesting as it read, "Noah's flood is a fact of history." Hello all and welcome along to this Boxing Day edition of Tinfoil Tuesday with me, Simon Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. Right, Matt Powell and his Noah's Ark video is the order of the day, so let's get on with it, shall we? We join Matt, let's remember, as he starts to tell us why he thinks that Noah's flood is a fact of history.
In the center of the United States, we find hundreds and hundreds of dinosaur graveyards. Each one of these dots that you see represents a graveyard that contains sometimes hundreds of thousands of fossils. Many of these dinosaurs are found fully intact, and we've discovered that they died from choking on mud.
That's not a fact, by the way, a credible explanation for sure, given the posture of the animal, etc., but far from conclusive. And most fossilised dinosaurs were caused by mud or silt covering their deceased bodies, and it would have to have happened pretty quickly after their death.
And so you have to ask the question, what could cause a tsunami so big that it would encompass the entire United States, or at least half of the United States, and bury hundreds of thousands of creatures and sea life together, all in one large event?
That's not how it happened though. And besides, fossil ages range from around 250 million years to 65 million years ago. For example, a T-Rex lived closer to us in time than it did to a Stegosaurus. There is no way that one event could bury the two of them at the same time, despite them both being found in the US.
There is no other option other than a global flood. And in order to get a fossil, you have to have rapid burial. And so that's the only explanation why we would find these dinosaurs buried and preserved in the positions that we find them.
If that was the case, then you'd be finding dinosaurs in every single area of Earth. Yet there are some areas where we find no dinosaur fossils at all. For example, there are large swathes of land in Central Australia where we have found none.
And within some of these dinosaurs, we find preserved blood cells. Now, the blood cells were analyzed by different scientists, and we've found that they actually died from drowning. And so, once again, you have to ask the question, what could cause waves so huge that they would hit in the center of the United States, all the way from the oceanic coast?
Well, 150 million years ago, the Earth's continents looked very different than they do today. And most fossils that have been found are from animals that live very close to lakes or rivers. And their remains were covered shortly after, or they died in the water. And this is a much more feasible explanation than the ocean reaching the entirety of the inland.
Noah's flood is the explanation for these things. In fact, it is the only explanation. And this is why we find whales perfectly preserved on top of mountains. Now, how could whales have possibly gotten to the top of certain mountains? This is also why we find whales in the desert.
Yeah, the thing is, Matt, those areas were not mountains and deserts when that animal died.
This is why we find clams that are in the closed position that were catastrophically buried on top of Mount Everest, 29,000 feet above sea level. We also find trees going through all of the different layers of supposed geologic time. People think that these layers are millions of years of different time zones. If you have a tree that was placed there at the time of the formation of the layers around it, that means that the layers are not millions of years of different ages.
Okay, first off, a fossilised tree is not an organic tree. And those layers are formed very rapidly, most likely from volcanic eruptions.
We also find coal deposits that are over 100 feet thick. Now, coal comes from vegetation and different organisms that have been smashed together between sediments. How in the world are you going to get a coal deposit that's over 100 feet thick?
It's really not hard to see that swampland would cause really thick coal deposits. Is this really an argument, Matt?
This shows us that the pre-flood world was extremely lush. There was a lot of vegetation. There was large animals, dinosaurs, that were all buried together with trees and with different organic materials and creating massive, massive amounts of coal. Now, mountains themselves are great proof of Noah's flood. If you look at the layers of some of these mountains, you'll notice that all of the layers are bent. You cannot bend hard rock. That means that all of these layers were moist when they were laid down, and then when the plates were moving, they were bent upwards as all of them were pliable and all of them solidified together in one event.
Geological folds around the world are all different ages. Radiometrically tested. You just can't argue with that.
According to humanists, the plates on the Earth have only been moving about 1 to 2 inches per year. And these plates slowly create the mountains as one slides under the other plate. This could not have happened. These mountain ranges that we see would have shattered and broken. They would have eroded flat. You cannot bend hard rock. All of these rocks that we see on these mountains were all soft and moist at the time of their formation.
Ah, great, Matt. Let's see your master's and degree in geology and your paper that you wrote to explain how mountains are not caused by tectonic activity. We'll wait.
And that's why they're all perfectly bent many times. And you can see these beautiful photos of mountain ranges that show that they were created by a catastrophic flood and not millions of years of geological time. And that's why you find polystratofossils connecting all the layers. That's why you find whales on mountains, clams on mountains, sea life on every single mountain on Earth. Why? Because the earth was flooded. Because by the word of God, the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water. Because the world that then was, that was overflowed with water, perished.
Okay, great. So the Bible states that all high areas were covered. But everything that happened in the Bible happened in this little circle right here. How do we know that the Andes were covered? Or the Alps, or the Himalayas for that matter? Answer? You don't.
And I think that the most powerful argument of all is the fact that we find 10-mile thick pieces of rock from the Earth's crust that have been subducted rapidly 500 miles down into Earth's hot molten mantle. This rock that we've found that's 10 miles thick, it's still cold even though it's surrounded by 5,000 degree molten rock.
Those subducted plates are still 500 degrees C. They aren't cold per se. But what would be the reason for them being cooler? Perhaps the fact that they were oceanic plates? Could it be that?
Now, could cold rock be sitting down in 5,000 degree temperatures for millions of years?
It's not cold rock.
There's no way. That's not physically possible. The only way you get cold rock that's 10 miles thick from the crust into the mantle of the Earth is from catastrophic breaking up of the plates and plates going under one another and literally getting subducted down. And if they're still cold, then it means that they have not been there that long.
Again, not cold.
This catastrophic event of the plates moving extremely fast, continental sprint, did in fact happen, and they were rapidly subducted, these 10-mile thick pieces of rock. And if that happened today, that would cause a global flood. Imagine, just for a minute, if you had a 10-mile thick piece of rock that was broken up from the crust, that subducted. That's how we even get earthquakes, is by rocks and stuff sliding around and the crust of the earth sliding into different positions. That would have created another global flood if something like that happened today.
How can you be so clueless about geological processes and speak with such confidence? Beats me. Well, I think we'll leave Matt there for today and say we're done and dusted for another Tinfoil Tuesday video. How did you like Matt's evidence there for a global flood? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching today. It is truly appreciated. Now, if you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing to the channel. And if you really enjoyed it, hit that like or thumbs up button too. And of course, if you want to share it amongst your friends, that would be great as well. Thank you. I've been Simon Dan. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have yourselves a great week, and I'll see you for the final video of 2023, which features the Flat Earth experimenter himself, Mr. Anthony Bear. Again, see you then.